Welcome to candidate question time for the 2023 Manchester Students' Union elections. I'm Erin Bolton, the managing editor of the Mancunian. This morning and yesterday, MMG will be running hustings for 8 full-time executive roles. The exec officers are the top tier of the union student roles. They are full-time jobs and represent all students both within the university and the wider city. These live streams are a chance for you to meet the candidates for each role and hear in their own words why you should vote for them. Today's first candidate question time is the role for the Humanities Exec Officer. All candidates will answer questions submitted to the student body. Each candidate will have 1 minute to introduce themselves, stating their name, pronouns, and explaining why they are seeking this election role. If you exceed the time limit, I'll then have to cut you off and continue on to the next candidate. Following this, we will hold 2 rounds for open debate. Any candidate is free to talk, but for no longer than 30 seconds at a time. You can challenge each other's points of any question put forward in this round. Voting opens on Monday, March 6th, and will be open until Thursday, 9th March. All University of Manchester students are eligible to vote and can do so through the Students' Union website or through the app. Without further ado, let's meet our candidates.
Hi, my name's Sam, pronouns he, him, and whether you study politics, philosophy, economics, history, geography, languages, law, or any other one of the social sciences this university's got to offer, I'm promising, if elected as Humanities Officer for next year, opportunity, engagement and appeal. Opportunity because it's clear that for way too many of us, either because of financial constraints, lecture strikes or otherwise, we simply don't have the chances to take full advantage of the opportunities that this university has to offer. Engagement, because I feel like there should be much better communication and contact between ourselves and academics so that our feedback, our concerns, our queries and ideas can be fed back through into the academic teams so we can deliver meaningful change both on the academic level and through course unit selection and appeal. Because it's clear that for too many of us, we don't feel as if the course units that we're being presented with fully prepare us for the transition to life beyond university. So I want to bring back the relevance, interest and appeal of humanities back into our studies.
Hi everyone, my name is Anam and my pronouns are she, her, and I'm studying sociology as a final year student, and I applied for the humanities roles for 2 very specific reasons, one being regarding careers. So I recently just finished working with the Times as a final year interviewer, and I found that students believe that they just do not have enough experience or skills when applying to jobs, thus facing a lot of rejection. 75% of my participants were studying a humanities related degree, and it highlights an area for improvement and concern. Therefore, if I'm elected, I want to heighten and create experiences available for every single humanities student within the 4 humanities schools. Therefore, it will allow for everyone to be competent when entering the job market. Secondly, a reason to join was through my research and communicating with the students in which issues within attendance, module selection, and assessment feedback were found. Support within these areas is needed as soon as possible. Therefore, the humanities faculty as a whole requires further changes and to be seen in stronger lighting regarding equal funding, equal responsibility and equal opportunities. If I'm to be elected, I wish to tackle these issues and more, and to create a finer and enjoyable experience within university.
Hi, my name is Brooke Marsden. I use she, her pronouns. I'm currently in 3rd year studying English literature and creative writing, and I also run the Creative Writing Society, which I've been voted the president of for the past 2 years, and I also play ice hockey for Manchester Metros. My ideas for improving the university are improving the course unit selection system, which is currently hard to use and stressful for students. My second idea is to improve mental health and well-being among students via wellness walks, support groups for ADHD and students with autism, and also to lobby the university to improve the counselling service. Thirdly, I would like to create a more open channel between societies for people running them and people participating, with a focus on expanding societies' events so that Muslim students can be included and less of a focus on drinking. Fourthly, I would like to lead a charity project and volunteering project called Putting the Humanity into Humanities. There you go. Thank you for listening.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Katie. I'm a 2nd year sociology student. And my main priorities are feedback and moderation, which, as I've spoken to students, it seems to be a big issue that they're feeling that they're not being heard and that things aren't being moderated fully. I also want to look at mental health and physical well-being through mitigating circumstances. So looking at whether people are actually being able to access the guidelines to mitigating circumstances. You can't prove a panic attack. Then I want to look at the reduction or even the abolition of 9 a.m. starts and 6 p.m. finishes. We are in a society now of full flexibility, and that just isn't being aided to for students. I also want to look at essay writing support. People come to university not knowing how to write an academic essay, so we really need to be helping them out with that. I also want to look at career fairs and making sure that people have access to these. People don't know, especially in humanities subjects, what to go into, and that's what I want to help with.
Okay, perfect. So our first question is the following. Candidates have been promising to improve the module selection process for years. As a university and in the wider system, how are you going to ensure that this happens for humanities students, and is this a potentially too big of a promise for you to take on in your role?
First, I definitely don't think it is too big a promise to take on, and I completely agree with both my fellow candidates running for the position as Humanities Officer and everyone else who's come across with the misfortune to have come across the course unit selection system, that it's a nightmare and in urgent, desperate need of reform. So I'd go about changing it in two ways. First, choice. Second, clarity. Choice, because in my experience as a politics student, we see that the course units we're provided with simply don't cater to the diversity and the breadth politics and humanities more broadly should have to offer, and clarity, because it's simply not clear what we're signing ourselves up for when looking at course units.
Perfect.
Something that I aim to implement if I'm elected is something like a queuing system. So when you're going to buy concert tickets or when you're online shopping, there's a lot of queues and, there's a lot of volume of students. And so what I believe is having a queuing system would be beneficial, so it manages the volume of students, and that it basically has a good experience for students so that they can successfully choose their modules, but also not have the system crash on them every single time and every single minute of the day.
So I think a big cause of stress is the actual process of the system. So it's really competitive and it's a first come first served thing. But what if we trialled it where people could sign up, engage their interest for courses, because that would be better for professors and students, and we could see the interest overall. And it is possible, because at Nottingham University and Newcastle University, students pick their courses in May and then get 8 weeks for that feedback to come through of whether or not they got on it. So it can be done, and Manchester's ultimately going to be left behind if it doesn't catch up with other universities.
I just want to start off by saying that I completely understand the frustration. I had to take my break from work 3 hours earlier than I was supposed to, just so that I'd get the modules that I wanted. I think the main issue with it is it's just not user friendly. It's from the 90s. It's not up to date with the society that we live in now. So I propose that we get the computer science people on board and actually get them to be able to volunteer to actually help out to build a new system. So we could do this through an app, which is a lot more user friendly, where the course code is the only thing that's required. And it would just make it a lot faster and a lot more accessible to students. As I said, it's not something you want to be stressing over.
Would anyone want to add anything else?
Very quickly, yeah, you're right, definitely right to say it feels like a throwback to the 1990s. But then again, at the same time, that's quite apt, because for many of my course mates and myself, we could agree that some of the course units that we end up signing ourselves up for without really knowing what we're getting into are a throwback to the 1990s, where it's looking at what academics are writing and talking about over 30 years ago, based on academic, theoretical, abstract issues, which don't really seem like they're pressing and engaging and urgent and relevant to the real world of either 21st century or today. So in addition to the choice that we have through course unit selection, clarity and ultimately accessibility to real, meaningful, direct and relevant engaging modules, I feel like is a really important and urgent reform that we need to make to the selection system.
I think that one of Manchester's core values as equality, they should make sure that all students are being selecting their course unit selections in before summer, so that when everyone's got an equal playing field, equal Wi-Fi in the same country, and all have that equality with course unit selection. And I think that surely, as this is something that students are so unhappy with, surely Manchester University can step up and make it better.
Like everyone else has said, it is quite outdated one, and something that I think that needs to be improved is regarding fairs and like open days regarding modules as well. So you know how there's career and volunteering fairs that are quite up to date. It needs to be similar with modules as well. I look at the website and I'm looking at something that was 4 years ago. How do I know that's still up to date? I believe that this should be current, and a nice opportunity is that current students apply for the volunteering role and teach students, other students, that this is what we studied, this is who we read. You know, it creates a good opportunity to add it to their CV as well, and that's something that needs to be implemented, I think.
Anything else wanted to add, or do you feel like you covered it?
Yeah.
Perfect. So the next question is to do with contact hours and the recent interview the Mancunian had with Dan George. So it's been confirmed that blended learning is officially carrying on. What policies will you pursue to ensure humanities students can maintain their limited in-person contact hours?
I'll start. So I think that in one of my manifesto ideas about the 9 a.m. starts and 6 p.m. finishes, this is all about reforming the working hours of students. We need more authority over how we work if we're paying the amount of money that we are, which is why I'm suggesting that we change working hours to 10 p.m. till 4 p.m. 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. And in that way, we can have 2 hours per week per module of contact hours, and then 1 hour that's recorded online by the lecturer, which will mean that people will be able to choose when they actually decide to consolidate the knowledge that they've got, and it means that they can work in the way that works best for them. And as I said, it gives you more authority over how much you're paying for the education that you have.
I feel like more than just a fixed structure, say you mentioned 3 hours there, so 2 hours in contact and 1 hour recorded. I feel like a better way to go about it would be to really emphasize as much in-person collaboration, discussion, and communication contact between ourselves, academics and lecturers and tutors, as possible. That being the main priority, mainly through seminars, because one of the most appealing aspects about humanities and humanities subjects is the opportunity for debate and discussion and collaboration in person. That's when the real conversation, interesting conversation happens. And I feel like the option of online lectures and definitely recording online lectures definitely is an appeal, and that's why I agree blended learning has its advantage, and I would keep it. However, the real emphasis should be on maximising those hours that we have in person.
Yeah, so firstly, I think that contact hours are so important. People want a face and people want to know who their lecturers are, know who their course mates are. And isolation is so huge at university at the minute. I think especially following the COVID years, people are really starting to feel that isolation. So I think improving the community is really important. And actually, in the last humanities meeting for this university, the minutes say that that sense of community is something of key importance for students and something that they feel can be improved upon. So I think spaces like common rooms, which a lot of students aren't aware of, and places where students doing the same courses can be together and meet each other, are great for feeling like university is a more personable experience.
I'm going to have to agree with everyone that all the points are valid, that, you know, we need more in-person contact hours. But what I also believe is that there should be equal outside of contact hours. So what I've found successful is having a group chat for each module that I've been in. So for year 1 and year 2, I have been in a lot of WhatsApp groups, and I found that they're so much helpful than waiting 5 hours for a reply from a university lecturer. I find that they're up to date. You know, everyone's on the same boat as you. You get the same ideas going around. And I feel like those are really successful. And I believe that every single module within each of the 4 schools in humanities should have a module per group chat, a group chat per module, and that it should be used like every day, and, you know, whenever you need help or questions and stuff. Yeah.
Would anyone want to add anything else to that?
I just want to say that's a really good point. I think that we need support from our fellow students, and that's why I think, as I said, I think everyone can agree that they can't really have full attention span throughout a 2-hour lecture, which is why I think, as Sam said, it's important for the tutorials to be more engaging. But that's also why I think it's good to have 50-50 in person regarding lectures, 50-50 in person and then online, just so that we can consolidate the learning in our own time, whether that's at 4 a.m. or whether that's at 9 a.m, which it might be.
And again, I just have to add, so the idea about group chats, I think that's an exceptional idea, and I think no matter which one of us is elected, ultimately Humanities Officer, definitely I think we can all agree that would be a really good way to go about it in future. Lecturers, group chats, we can invite our academics, lecturers and tutors into the chat so that there's that direct live communication between ourselves. At the same time, I feel like it would be worthwhile to emphasise and try and pursue more social activities and opportunities. So through, for example, in my subject, you've got politics socials, but at the same time, an initiative I've got recently going with a politics society is a collaborative talk and discussion between ourselves and one of the lecturers, one of the lead course conveners, as an opportunity where alongside him and his colleagues, we can all meet up in the pub and discuss real-world, contemporary, relevant, pressing issues. So this one, for example, being on the rise of China and associated geopolitical security issues from the Japanese perspective. And it's a way that you can blend in content that's both relevant to our course with a social aspect and perspective where we get to know our lecturers in a bit better depth and in person, face-to-face. Where I think the blended aspect, so the combination of the digital approach through group chats as well as in-person, face-to-face social events is a really good way to improve that engagement, communication and contact between ourselves and the academic team.
Did anyone want to expand on that? Yeah? Or challenge?
So actually 83% of students used to pick their course first and then the university, and I know that was the same for me. I wanted to do English and then I looked at where that could be. But we're actually starting to see that numbers changing, and I think it's the same with the module selection. Manchester University needs to kind of like catch up with this change, because more students are going to start looking at what the blended learning's like, where they want to go to university, rather than the course or the location specifically.
Yeah.
Something that I find that still needs a lot of improvement is recording all lectures and tutorials online. Sometimes I've not been in because of a circumstance and I still cannot find the lecture recording anywhere, and it's probably something that I'm doing for an exam question. I believe that lecturers and tutorial leaders should be more liable to record and to ensure that everything is online. You know, sometimes we're having a discussion but I can't find it online the next day to use in my notes, and I feel like it's still not as good as it should be, and that everything should be recorded manually and it should be taken care of, and like lecturers and tutorial leaders to be liable for recording.
Anyone else? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to wrap it up then. So that's all the time we've got for today. Once again, you can vote for the best candidate according to your decision from the 6th to the 9th of March. This is your opportunity to decide the future of your campus life here in Manchester, so make sure your vote counts.